Hey, this is Eva Eris, and you're watching Dads Smoking Cigars.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Cigar Sitdown with Dads Smoking Cigars. Already we were introduced by Eva Eris, who is our guest for today.
Yes.
So welcome to the new portion of our show called the Cigar Sitdown.
And obviously, and we'll overstate everything just because we run our mouths constantly, but this is the lovely and talented Eva Eris. Now, I first encountered Eva through Twitter, though neither of us really can get our story straight on how we met or how it all worked out. The point is,
Definitely Twitter.
Yes,
Definitely
Twitter, I think, was the avenue.
Yeah.
And we started following each other. I became very much fascinated with her music, very much enjoy her music, and definitely powerful lyrics, powerful sound, and yeah, I'm going to flatter the heck out of you. So it's, yeah, we began to correspond quite a bit. At the time, I was fiddling around with writing. I published a book, and I actually sent her a copy, and we became friends that way. And over time, after being born and raised in Pennsylvania, she actually made the move over here to California to pursue her music career, and here we are. So, Eva, why don't you kick things off and tell everybody about yourself and what you're all about?
Yeah, sure. I mean, you gave me a great intro. It's hard to follow that.
You basically gave her bio.
Yeah,
Yes,
right?
I did.
I was like, oh, okay, thanks.
But some details I didn't have in there that only you can give us.
Yeah. I'm just giving you crap.
As you should.
All the time.
Yeah,
Feel free
right.
to.
That's what I'm saying.
I do all the time.
Well, yeah, I love the fact that we met on Twitter. I think I told you there's maybe like one other person that I've ever had that experience with.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it was just.
And this one wasn't creepy.
No, the other one wasn't creepy either.
Oh, that's
thank
good.
God. Yeah, I mean,
I was probably a
knock on
little
wood.
creepy.
There you go.
but, yeah.
I'm going to start cutting and getting my
Sending
cigar
her-
ready, so.
Sending her random
Yes.
messages on Snapchat and Twitter like, hey, how's it
No.
going?
No.
Hello, random man.
Okay, no, we're done. No, I've not had too many of those bad Snapchat experiences, but they are real.
Praise the Lord.
And,
That's
yeah,
a good thing.
Exactly. Anyways, yes, I'm originally from Pennsylvania, just outside Pittsburgh, and music has always been a part of my life. I've been in all kinds of stuff. Is really redundant. I've been in all sorts of music stuff. Everything from writing to performing to producing, which is what I'm kind of doing now in LA.
Yep.
I went to a music academy out here to study music production, and so that's what I've kind of been doing for the most part now. But I miss live streaming. We talked about live streaming, which is
Yes.
also a shared experience
Lot
that
of
we
fun.
think, I think.
Exactly, yeah.
And which is cool now that we're doing this because this is sort of a live stream, and so I think there's a lot of crossover, and I'm glad to be sitting down with you guys and smoking some cigars.
Absolutely.
So, Kyle, what do we pick out for Eva?
All right, we picked out one of our favorite brands. Now
Yes.
you can go kind of do the Vanna White thing with your cigar. The 1502 Emerald, which is one of my favorites, goes great with a cup of coffee in the morning. We don't have any coffee here, but it's still a fantastic cigar, and I can promise you you're going to enjoy the hell out of it.
I'm
So,
excited.
Tim, why don't you go ahead and
I
use
will
your
use
fancy
my-
tool.
Calibri
Because you
DV.
failed.
I failed
the
the
other
last
day.
time. Quick little story. This is the second time Eva and I have gotten to hang out. First time Tim's gotten to meet her. And we hung out at a cigar lounge in this town called Fullerton here in Southern California. And I bought her first legit cigar.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, legit.
And
Not
Not a
a...
black and mild.
not a black and mild.
Not a
Super
B&M
sweet.
or an SS or any of the
Yeah.
others.
Yeah,
that
which
we-
I've had my fair share of.
There you go.
So, and I pooched the cut so bad that
Yes.
her wrapper started to unravel. Now, she didn't seem to care that much because she's like, hey, I got a cigar, this is great. And then after a while, she's like, okay, yeah, this thing is falling apart in
Well,
my
I
hands.
figured had I done it myself, I probably would have had the same experience. So it didn't make a difference to me.
So it didn't
in my
take away from
mind.
the experience.
It didn't. That's what I'm saying. But this here, is this what it's supposed to look like? Because that's pretty
That
amazing.
is what it's supposed to look like. And it gives you a great draw, and it's an awesome little tool. Now, Tim, why don't you tell everybody what you're smoking real quick?
I am smoking, if you want to go ahead and toast your foot. You want me to do it for you?
Maybe.
Yeah. Eva's
I'm, like,
still
nervous. I'm
Eva's
learning.
still getting
Yeah.
into the wonderful world of cigars. She's getting to know all these different things about them, how you like them, and all that good stuff. So it's you know, it's essentially training.
There you go. And I am enjoying the Sereno Taino. This is the pre-release unbanded ones, and
Yeah.
it is phenomenal. Kyle's going to be jealous of me the entire time, and
No,
I
I'm not actually,
intentionally
because
did it.
I've had a Taino twice, and I've had one of the unbanded. So dude,
That's true.
You're just walking territory that I've already walked. And I'm gonna light mine up real quick.
Kyle is yes, and that is your DSC
I know.
block.
I wanted to test it out.
Yes.
It's really nice. I'm into it.
Well, it's going home with you, so.
Oh, really?
Yep,
Oh,
that's yours.
thank you. Of
course.
Get a little souvenir.
That is yours. But I am smoking the Joseph Nikavana Mesmerized by the Salamanca Cigar Group, and this was sent to me. Tim and I both had one sent to us by a good friend of ours named Robbie. So, and right off the first puff, it's fantastic.
Nice, bold, rich,
Oh,
good,
yeah.
good cigar.
Very chocolatey.
Yep.
It looks like it.
Oh yeah, fantastic. So, Eva, why don't you tell us a little bit about some of your musical accomplishments so far? We know you've released an EP.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Maybe
Where
tell
can people
about-
find it?
Yeah, where do people find it? Do they need to purchase it? Can they download it on a platform? Why don't you tell everybody about that?
Yes to all of that, pretty much.
Yes to all of that.
Yeah. You can download it from pretty much any platform that's out there. You know, it's on iTunes. You can stream it too from Spotify, from, I don't know, what other I'm on Spotify.
SoundCloud
constantly.
as well.
SoundCloud, I think.
Actually, yeah, it is on SoundCloud.
Amazon Music as well.
Amazon Music, Google Play, all those other weird ones. Tidal, I think.
BeanPod, some other ones.
Probably Bean.
Maybe.
It's like most of them. Yeah.
She's
It's out
everywhere.
Yes.
Pretty
thank
much
you.
everywhere.
Pretty
She
much
You can
has
find her
made
music.
sure that her music is accessible to everyone,
Yes.
everywhere, which is wonderful because I have listened to it on many an occasion and enjoy it very much. Now, how would you describe? Now, Tim, why don't you ask a question, because I'm kind of bogarting the
It's
questions
all good.
here.
I'm sitting here enjoying a cigar.
right?
Remember, it's the cigar sit down, so I'm sitting down
All
enjoying
right.
a cigar too.
Well, then I'll
So-
ask this one. You get the next one.
Go for
all
it.
right. How would you describe your musical style?
Oh, that's a really difficult question, actually.
Whoops.
Yeah, because I have done so many things in music,
Mhm.
and the EP that I have out now is very much in the pop realm, which is
Yeah.
what I kind of came to LA to really explore,
Mhm.
because I've always loved pop music, but my heart really lies with blues and jazz and soul, and even rock and roll.
See, and when I listen to
Yeah.
your music, I pick up like Nora Jones meets pop rock.
Yes, that's a great description, actually. Because I do love Nora Jones, but sometimes she just puts me to sleep, you know?
Yes.
Yeah, and I don't
Thank
care
you,
for
because
that.
I love Nora Jones too.
She's just
And
too
I remember,
sweet,
and I
you
remember.
know?
Well, no, I remember years ago.
It's
My
too
wife.
soothing of a voice.
Yeah, right. I like a little more grit,
Yes.
a little more something
Yes,
to know that I'm
something
still
that'll
awake.
get your
And
blood
Exactly.
pumping. My wife recorded.
Yeah.
My wife burned the CD for me years ago, back when people used to do that. And if you've never heard of it, it's okay.
It's what was
not
called a mixed tape.
Mix-
Google it.
mixed CD.
I was gonna say, yeah, that
Mixed
was
CD.
prior
I'll
to
take
the
it
When we
back
were
a little
first
further.
dating.
Mixtape, yeah.
Throw
When we were
back.
first dating, and the song, it was all sappy love songs because we were first
Of course.
dating, of course. And The Nearness of You was one of the songs she picked from Nora Jones. But oh
that's
my gosh,
classy.
I got so sleepy. Listen, I loved it because it made me think of her. But it's just like I'm just kind of sitting there, nodding off, and I'm like, okay, yeah, that's beautiful. Next song, next song.
Give me awake, give me awake.
Yes.
So,
Right.
stemming
right.
from that, where do you get some of your influence in musical styles?
Oh, that again is also a complicated question because I have so many influences, but
Sure.
you know, there's a lot to talk about there. Whenever I began playing music,
Mhm.
I learned to play piano by ear, and I started performing out at open mics. And so a lot of what I know is from playing with old rockers, old blues players.
Okay.
So a lot of my early influences, I'll
Mhm.
say, were actually like Eric Clapton.
Ooh,
I love
good
And
stuff.
like Bob Dylan, and
Nice.
so like from a
Nice.
songwriting standpoint,
Sure.
I kind of have that in me.
They're
but
amazing lyricists as well as
Yes.
right,
musicians.
yeah,
so.
that's what I'm saying. Like
Yes.
there's just so much to appreciate there from a musical
Mhm.
standpoint. But as a vocalist, the more that I got into doing vocals, I like fell in love with the like old jazz greats like Etta James and oh man,
Coltrane.
yeah. Who are the other vocalists?
Vocals, yeah.
Oh, Billie Holiday.
Oh,
Billie
yeah.
Holiday, man. She's
She's
just,
fantastic.
I loved the raw and gritty vocals that they had, but with the soul.
You just made me think
Behind
of
it.
Janis Joplin.
Yeah, right. I was gonna say Janis Joplin too, but she was a little more rock.
Rock with more of that grittiness
Well,
to
she
her.
had
You're
that
right.
grittiness.
You're absolutely right.
Yes.
And a woman who definitely emulated her style in Across the Universe, Dana Fuchs.
Yeah.
She was amazing.
The
And
soundtrack for that movie is
I
really great in
love the
general.
music from that movie, but you made me think of her, or that made me think of her when talking about Janis Joplin, and she's a modern vocalist, so
Right.
it's pretty amazing how
That's
some
a
of that
little more
stuff
into
carries
her
over.
stuff.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't know it outside that soundtrack.
That's all I know too. So.
Well, now we'll both. Have
I just
to go
remembered
on that
her
rabbit
name
hole,
because I
right?
remember looking her up. I'm like, cause she's
Who is
ridiculous.
this?
Yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely worth looking into. So,
Yeah.
but what was like in, I don't know how loaded of a question this would be because everybody has a different motivation.
Uh-oh.
No, with in regards to your
I had to
career,
do it.
like, because I remember you mentioned to me like one of your dreams to do, and I think it's a dream of many a person to play in front of a large crowd in like an arena type space because it really opens
Oh,
up
yeah.
the playing field
Yeah.
for how you perform, and I just totally did that to you.
Excuse you.
Yeah.
Sorry. No, I love it. I love it.
So some people, but sometimes where there's a difference is that people they just want to become a big old megastar, which that is definitely not what you want.
No,
You,
I have too
you
much
just,
anxiety for that.
Well,
Real talk.
but you have a love. You have a
50,000
love
at the
for.
Staples Center, not a goal.
I'm sure she wouldn't pass it up if she was asked.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Truthfully, I'm more anxious in everyday scenarios than I've ever been on stage. But I would say in general, performing is like my comfort zone because I don't
Sure.
have to worry about anything else when I'm on stage.
Comes
It's
natural.
like,
Right.
yeah,
Yes.
well, and I've done it so much, like it's because I started so early on. It's always been the place where I could speak my mind,
Sure.
where I could be
Oh, yeah.
my most genuine self.
Well, and your
Yes.
lyrics speak to real life.
Yeah, my writing has always come from a place where, I'm alone and at home with all these thoughts in my head, and I just have to like sit down and get them out.
Yes.
As opposed to kind of more of a intentional approach.
Sure.
Not as I've grown in my craft, I've definitely become more intentional about my
Right.
writing. But I still always come from and prefer to write from that place of this is what I'm experiencing, and I need to express this somehow.
Very cool.
Get it out of your head before it drives you nuts.
That's so real, and then I feel better.
Yes,
Like
and
usually that's
It's
how it
cathartic.
goes. It is though.
Yes.
Music, man.
I have
Yeah.
experience with that as well. I definitely just
I'm
asked.
excited. Yeah.
Just asked Tim because I was more from the angsty side of things, though.
Very much
I
more
love
the
that,
angsty
though.
side.
Very angsty side, just because I was dealing with a lot, going through a lot at the time when I was most prolific in songwriting and writing lyrics and stuff like that. So I had to, like you just said, communicate it somehow, and that communication often took the form of like, that's I can't find a word.
Adolescence, what a great time of life.
An adolescent groan of this is life.
I was carrying a lot
That
of
sells,
weight.
I'm just saying.
I was-
There's an itch for that.
Yeah.
There is. There's also
Yeah.
medication for it, too.
That's also true.
Because
I had to say it.
I was carrying a lot of weight, and so like the groan, I guess, is to express that everything was so heavy, and so I wrote heavy stuff, and not just in sound, but also in lyrical content, and I'm just like, it was cathartic. The only problem was I still held on to it, and it made for some really great songs, but I needed to let that crap go.
Yeah. No, I totally.
I still have them playing in
relate
my
to that.
head.
Yeah, but it was good.
It was.
It was
Oh,
good at the
absolutely.
time, and I played some of it for Eva a while back. I don't know if you remember at all what it sounds like. I'll have to play it for you again.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
Do you have a copy? We're going into nostalgic territory here. Do you have a copy of the old demo?
It's in a hard drive on my old iTunes library.
All right. Well, we may have to figure out a way to get that too.
I have a lot of stuff in that.
This is vintage
Place of
2005.
My annals of music.
Yeah, right. Oh man.
So
Yeah.
yes, that obviously that was a point where we related to each other. The fact that I, at once upon a time, not so much anymore.
I think I do remember you sending that to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was
I can't remember what it sounded like,
an
but
old
I remember
YouTube
the
video, and
conversation.
if we had the time and patience, I would have Tim
Maybe
bring it
after
up.
this.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
after this.
You didn't bring your acoustic bass and
Yeah. look
Because
at
the
that,
string
man.
broke. String broke, and
I
it's
won't
just
ask
sitting
which
in my
string.
closet. I don't even remember which string, but it was one of the higher strings.
Was it
That's
the
all I'm
G
gonna
string?
say.
I'm
I
sorry.
was gonna say, was it the
I
G
was gonna
string?
say somebody's gonna say G string.
I
And
led
I'm not
there.
I know,
gonna-
I'm sorry.
Not it. Not it.
I led there. I figured, hey,
It was me. I took one for the team.
Yeah.
anybody who's ever been around a guitar or played a guitar before would come up with the same idea in their head. We just said it out loud.
Exactly. There is in fact a string.
So
That is two
I don't have the
inches.
dirty. For once, I'm the one whose mind is not in the gutter.
See, aren't you glad you brought me here?
Yes, I am very glad.
It worked out so well.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
So, okay. Obviously, we've touched on the amazingness that is your music and your inspirations and what motivates you and everything like that. So, now we're going to go into slightly embarrassing territory because when I messaged Eva a while back, probably about 2 months ago now, asking her if she had ever smoked cigars before, see? She said, yeah, when I would do like clubs and bars and stuff like that, I'd usually have like a Black and Mild or something like that. Now, withhold your judgment, because look where she is now. She
A
is smoking
Exactly.
a premium
cigar.
cigar. It was fate. It was fate. That not only that we met, but as time has passed, now we are where we're at, and she's enjoying premium cigars.
And it's a 1502, which probably represents how many
This is
Black and
really
Milds
nice,
she's
by the
had.
way.
Yeah. 15 or 2.
Probably pretty
I
close.
don't want to count, but you
Which,
know,
before-
wouldn't surprise me.
Just out of curiosity, how are you liking it?
It's really great, actually.
It's a fantastic
Yeah,
cigar,
this
isn't
is
it?
Definitely higher quality than I'm used to.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty luxurious, isn't it?
It is.
kind of
That is.
fancy.
I was struggling to figure out what word I would use, but luxurious is definitely the one.
And
Yeah.
it really is. What's amazing about the brand you're smoking is that it seems kind of fancy from the band to, just, how they look and everything like that, because they have a number of amazing cigars. But they're also for everybody, because
Yes,
it's
they are
depending
everyday
on where
cigars.
you get them.
Yeah.
California is not a place where you probably, I'll be honest, want to buy them because it's a little more expensive here. The taxes here are nuts. But they're actually very affordable for the most part. And so they're for the everyman, they're for the guy who is going to a business meeting in a cigar lounge, etc. So you are smoking a quality cigar, and I'm so happy that you are able to try it. It's
Making my way up in the world.
You're making
There you
your way
go.
up in the world of music and cigars. I mean, really, you
Yeah.
can't ask for much more than that.
That's so true. Yeah. Well, it's not. I think I also told you in that conversation that.
Mhm.
That I had played at a lot of cigar bars.
Yeah.
But the musicians and myself included weren't usually the ones who are like at the cigar bar.
Right.
You know.
You're entertaining at the cigar
Yes,
bar.
exactly.
The
So it was
venue
always
area.
like afterwards we're gonna like go out to Denny's and smoke a Black and Mild. Okay.
You know what?
Denny's at 2 o'clock in the morning is amazing.
Right. You see what I'm saying? Yeah.
Everybody starts somewhere. Tim and I definitely started on, around
In the
those
dirt.
low points. I think I only started like maybe a half step or full step higher than him, and that's not me bragging. I'm just saying that he was hanging out with friends, and they went to a gas station, and it was your
Gas
uncle
station
first.
It was
cigars?
my uncle
It was your
first.
uncle first, and then a while after that, you hung out with some friends, went to the gas station.
It
and
was a
picked up
Garcia
some-
and Vega in a plastic, like, creamy gray colored tube, and that should have been the first indicator to run. And we didn't, and we smoked it, and we never bought those again. So at least I started with a true cigar,
Yes,
but that's about it.
yeah. No,
That's more than I got. I mean.
It really just depends on who you know, because I had the luxury of my
That's true,
dad
yeah.
being a cigar smoker. He had really just gotten started around that time. And I told him, I said, I was 19 years old, and I said, you know what, I want to try a cigar.
Mhm.
And he's like, really? You sure? I'm like, yeah, I do, because, I never was interested in smoking cigarettes, and, for a number of reasons, but But cigars.
I'd have been
sounded
beat to
so-
death if I ever had a cigarette.
I
My dad told me, he goes,
Really?
if you want to try a cigarette, you want to try marijuana, you try anything, you come to me. I'll experience it with you for the first time. That's fine. But if I find out you do it on your own, you're dead.
that's
And
I
now,
think that's
he
not a
wouldn't,
bad idea,
he
though.
wouldn't
You know?
physically kill me, but it
he'd
would have been
bring you
close.
pretty close. He'd
And
bring
so-
you pretty damn close.
So that was enough to tell me growing up as a teenager and all those wonderful years of junior high and up, that, hey, I'm going to listen to my dad and obey what he says, but also it was enough for me to realize that my dad, if there was something I really wanted to try, regardless of the perception of it being good or bad, he would still support me in doing it, so that probably he would think I would learn a lesson and never touch it again.
I think that's great
Oh, yeah.
parenting,
The
honestly.
support of the parent, yep.
Yeah, because then that avoids that whole scenario of teenage rebellion.
Yes.
Because a lot of teens will do it just because their parents say not to do it.
yeah.
Exactly. See,
Yeah.
and my mom makes Betty Crocker look like a liberal because my mom is that conservative.
Oh yeah. No
Sorry,
joke.
Betty Crocker. I like that. Yeah.
Yes. That's
What-
the only way. I mean, Betty Crocker, she bakes pies and she's got this and she's. Nope, she's a liberal compared to my mom.
Oh
my
my
mom is as
God.
conservative as they come. Does not care for the fact that I smoke and enjoy cigars, but I'm an adult. And
Yeah, he has a tattoo. He smokes cigars. He enjoys whiskey. He drives a motorcycle.
I own guns.
Pastor's kid.
I'm a pastor's kid, so I'm the definition of a rebellious PK. But hey,
funny.
that's how it goes. But my dad's dad passed away from cancer when I was 6 months old.
God.
So that is the main reason that my mom doesn't like cigars, because of the stigma, incorrectly, but the stigma because of a lack of education with cancer and side effects from cigars.
Yeah, right.
And it's just a matter of education. So I actually got to have a good conversation with my mom once we started Dads Smoking Cigars about it all.
That's awesome.
But that's why he, as much as he would like to enjoy cigars with me, because my mom, his wife, has that perspective, he says, you know what, it's not worth the fight, so I won't do it. But he's told me, he goes, you know, if it weren't for your mom, and not in a like begrudging way, then I would totally enjoy them with you, but I'd rather keep your mom happy. And you know what? As a married man of more than 10 years, I can completely understand why he says that.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm so glad that you shared that, because I think that's a common perception about cigars
Yes.
specifically.
Mhm.
And I don't think I've actually ever even tried a cigarette because, well, I'm actually an asthmatic. Oh, I need to stop touching the mic. Sorry. I'm actually an
I'm-
asthmatic.
It's all good.
My mic gets shaken. I get knocked.
Oh, really?
Don't
Okay,
worry
that makes
about
me
it.
feel
You're
better.
good.
Okay.
You're good.
Yeah, I'm an asthmatic, so
Mhm.
I'm a singer, so I didn't want to do anything that was going to be more harmful to my lungs.
Uh-huh.
Or
but
your
I'm-
vocal cords.
Oh my gosh, yeah, right. Like,
Yep.
This is my job, this is my career.
Mhm.
I got to take care of this.
Exactly.
And I knew that when I was playing in bars that allowed cigarette smoking, which is not even really a thing anymore. I don't know how it
No.
is out here, but
Oh no.
yeah, I figured.
Not allowed.
They. Oh gosh.
We're
yeah.
lucky we can smoke in my garage.
Yeah, right.
And even that might be a little bit. I was told a little bit dangerous, because I was told by our good friend who introduced us to the line of what you're smoking,
Mhm.
Brandon. Apparently, there is a law in California where if you're smoking in your backyard, your neighbor sees it, doesn't care for it, they can actually call the fire department and come over and tell you that you have to put that out.
Because it's a disturbance
It's
or
con-
an annoyance to your
It's a
neighbor.
disturbance or annoyance and potential fire hazard.
Fortunately, I have
Wow.
a neighbor across the way that has provided me with cigars that are very good, and a couple houses down who enjoys them as well, so I'm in very
That's
good company.
awesome. Yeah, I just didn't have anybody in my family that was really into cigars, so I
Mhm.
didn't really get into them other than in the jazz scene, So even though I was smoking crap, I was, and
We
I did
have
it
no
so
judgment
infrequently.
whatsoever. It's if you continue to smoke them, we might have a thing or two to say.
Well, no, this feels fitting that I feel like you guys are introducing me to.
There you go.
Yeah,
It's
kind of the
our
next
pleasure.
level.
It's our pleasure just
Yeah.
because
The brainwashing's working.
obviously look well
Oh,
yeah
there's no brainwashing.
Yeah.
I was already sold.
Willingly, yeah.
well because look where we are. I mean, first of all, I mean, you and I, again, we met on Twitter, we corresponded
Mhm.
and talked, and we became friends, and it is a wonderful friendship that I'm happy to have. And
The feeling's mutual.
Yo,
Yes.
good to know. And then you moved out here, which I was really excited because I'm thinking, well, even if we don't get to hang out, at the very least, if she starts doing performances in like LA or closer, I can go see her.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then, you were kind of taking your break, and I was like, actually, for a while, I was like, where has she been? I haven't seen her in forever. I was actually kind of worried. And then
It's okay, I'm still
you
here.
did a couple like random live streams where you're playing the piano and singing. I'm like, okay, good, she's still around. And that's when I thought, I'm going to send her a message and ask her a really random question. And here we are. And
I love
this
that,
stuff
yeah.
literally, it's just a wonderful little luxury that brings people together. We have
Mhm.
hung out with so many wonderful people, yourself included, that it's just because of this stuff. It brings people together. We've hung out with people we never
Yeah.
met in person,
Mhm.
people who are local, people who are in other states.
Across the country, across the globe.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
It's been wonderful.
Well,
And
and you know what's cool about that? I very much feel the same way about wine.
yeah,
And
Ooh.
wine and cigars go well together.
Yes.
Yes, they
And
do.
you know, a lot of the venues that I was playing, the cigar bars and the wineries, there's real crossover with
Yes.
just kind of the passion for. I should say I see the same kind of passion for wine that I
Mhm.
see in you guys when you talk about cigars.
Yes.
You know, and there's also a lot of stigma about wine,
Mhm.
and which is kind of another topic because alcohol
Yes.
in general is debatably more worse for you. But
Yes.
Well,
uh,
debatably, yeah. But
that's why I say yeah.
just touching on what
Start
you
the
said,
debate, Kyle.
there's so
Yes,
many.
yeah.
There's so many similarities between wine and cigars.
That's what I'm saying,
yeah.
right?
Same thing with
Yeah.
whiskey too, but
The way
wine
they
I want to
age, the
stay
different
on.
shades, all those kinds
You
of
gotta-
things.
Yeah, there's so much to enjoy.
How they're blended, how they're
Mhm.
fermented, how they're aged, and things like that. It is just
And the sweetness, you can get a really dry wine. You can get, I mean,
Yes,
and
right?
I enjoy wine. My
Me
favorite
too.
kind of wine is Syrah. I love Syrah.
Shut up, really?
So good. Oh yeah, love Syrah.
I don't meet too many people that you're talking like a dry red
Just
Syrah,
just
right?
not a petite Syrah,
Uh-huh,
a straight like regular Syrah. Yes. And
that's
the
what's up.
Santinez Valley is about 4.5 hours from us here. And there are phenomenal
that's right.
wineries up there, and that area is known for Syrah.
I need to get my butt
And
out there.
so it's
Yeah.
my wife and I used to have a
Yeah.
membership, and then we put our kid through school, and all the different things happen as I'm making my mic.
lots of
And
places
so-
to get good wine around.
So
California.
lots of good
that's
wine,
right.
but yes, wine. You can meet people that are like, oh, I only like a late harvest Viognier because it's sweet like apple juice, and I
What's
can
the
drink
point?
that.
Oh, that's my opinion.
But then you get to the point where there's people that are like, I like a super dry, oaky,
That's me.
bold red wine.
Yes.
I
Yes.
love those. I like
Right?
cab.
And
I
you
like
get the-
Goes
that.
great with cigars too.
Yes, and you get the
Yes.
whole
Same.
gamut of them. I mean, you can have a
Mhm.
nice port with a nice bold, full-bodied cigar,
Oh yeah.
and have a
Yes.
fantastic time.
Now I want to go get a bottle of wine.
I know,
I've been drinking
right?
whiskey. I've been drinking whiskey lately, and I'm not complaining
Ah.
at all because I love
That's
whiskey.
funny.
Another thing my dad got me into because it was one of those things where he had it at his house. I had never really tried it, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna give it a shot and try it.
Mhm.
And first time I had it was, I think I had a rye the first time.
Okay.
Gave me the worst headache
Oh,
because I
really?
wasn't used to it.
Yeah.
I'd never had anything that hard. I only drank craft beers. That for a while, that was
Yeah.
all Tim and I drank. We drank beer just
Okay.
as often
Yeah.
as we could, not constantly, but
Nice
whenever we get
bitter
together.
IPA.
Yeah,
I can't get on the IPA.
I gotta be
train.
in the mood for an IPA now. I can't do it anymore.
Oh, they're so
It
good.
just it has to have like a good like flavor to it. Otherwise, I feel like I'm drinking a loaf of bread.
I agree.
It's just so heavy, and so
It's so
I'm like,
good.
I gained like 10 pounds just by drinking that. That's how I feel afterwards. Cause
I love me a good stout. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, yeah, you
Yeah.
and I had
Mhm.
Guinness when we hung out, so
Yeah,
I know
we
that
did.
I know that much about you in terms
Yes.
of what you like to drink. So
Yeah, I've been on a beer kick for a while, but
Nice.
now that we're talking about wine, though,
She's
now
like-
you got me in. On
Now
it.
she's
yeah.
gotta
We're
go
just
out.
covering
Everything.
the cigar sit down isn't just cigars, it's the cigar, wine, beer, and booze sit down.
Well, you know what though? That reminds me, the alcohol and tobacco. I saw the thing that you guys posted about them banning sales or something. What's up with that?
So Facebook and Instagram, without going into a whole lot of detail on it, Facebook and Instagram has updated their policies on, essentially they are banning and prohibiting any sales of, trading, gifts, giveaways of tobacco products, period, because there are people that are under 18 that have exposure to them, and unless you change your page to being 18 and up, and do some different things,
Okay.
then they will ban you. But yeah, the sale of, or send me a message and, for $25, I'll send you these 5 cigars type of a thing.
Okay.
None of that can exist on Instagram or Facebook, or they will ban you.
But you said there's like a workaround if you do it so it's 18 plus?
If you have to make your profile 18 and up regardless, the organic
okay.
growing ones, so any of the big cigar names or cigar manufacturers, no matter what it affects them. But if you're an organic following like Dads Smoking Cigars, then we are still able to converse about it, talk about it. Hey, thanks so-and-so for sending me these cigars to try out and to review. We can still do all of that. What we can't do, since we don't sell them or manufacture them, we wouldn't be able to, even as an organic profile, we wouldn't be able to engage in the direct sales or trading or giveaways of tobacco.
Well, that's frustrating.
It is.
Oh yeah,
But as everything,
it's
we'll
so
comply,
strange.
and
Yeah,
It's
you
so
know,
strange to
we'd
us,
rather
but-
comply and still engage with the community than try and risk it and suffer the consequences.
Right. Right.
California, gotta love it. And of
Now
all
it's
all the
Facebook
things
land.
they get cracked down on,
It's Zuckerbergville.
Right.
yeah,
I
it's so strange to me. Just because I mean, California's supposed to be like the chill, kickback state, and
We've
Right?
got beaches and palm trees.
beaches and palm trees. Everybody's cool, relaxed, and groovy here. Apparently not. Not on Capitol Hill anyway. So,
No.
but we don't really need to get into all that. It's just
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
no, it's
I
okay,
totally
because
changed our
we're-
vibe. Let's.
It's the
No,
cigar sit down.
we're
We're
just
talking
sitting down, hanging
about
out. It's all
cigars
good.
and how stuff affects
Whatever
our enjoyment.
conversation
yeah,
comes up.
right.
But
Yeah.
there is really nothing that could ever stop us from enjoying it. So it's kind
I
of
like
moot
that, yeah.
anyway. It's moot anyway.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, we can't do a giveaway, but we can still talk about it. We can still enjoy it and share
Yep.
our love of it with everybody else. And that's
Absolutely.
so much
That's
of
what we're gonna do.
about.
It's what we do.
Exactly.
Yep.
I
So
love that.
I'm feeling a lull in the conversation.
Yeah. Where do we go now? Yeah.
Which we
And
can
that's
cut
a wrap. See y'all later.
Showtime. Anyway.
All right, guys, sit back down because this is the Cigar Sit-Down.
Yes, please. If
So-
you're standing, put your butt back down in that seat.
That's the
not.
easiest way to
It's
say
not
it.
allowed. It's not
No,
allowed to stand.
the
while
Cigar
you're watching.
Sit-Down. This
Yes.
is important information, so are you sitting down?
Yes.
We need to have a talk.
Yes.
You guys are
And-
so serious about this. Gosh, like, whew.
Okay.
Gonna have a sit down here.
We're gonna have a sit down. Does that better? Did that break the tension?
Does that work?
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
So, anyways, we go from serious to not serious to we're going to talk about something a little bit something else that Eva is passionate about, and she is obviously very, very passionate, pours herself completely into her music, and this actually relates to that quite a bit
Mhm.
because not only is she, pouring her heart out on stage and in her songs, but that
Yes.
comes from a very special place and something that she advocates for. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes.
Yeah, well, we talked earlier about my EP,
Mhm.
and almost every track on there addresses some form of mental health,
Mhm.
whatever that I was dealing with at the time.
Sure.
Yeah.
And, I never sought out to be a quote-unquote advocate or anything like that.
Right.
But as I released the EP and began talking to people about it and live streaming about it and just talking with people about it, I was amazed to find how many people could relate to the content that I was talking
Myself
about.
included.
Yeah,
myself included.
yeah, well, and especially the one song on there, Other Side.
Mhm.
That track
My
I
favorite
wrote.
song.
That's one of my favorites on there.
As it should be.
I mean, well,
I could listen to it all day, honestly, and I'm not saying that to, flatter her or, boost her ego by any means. It really touches on places I've been multiple times throughout my life.
Uh-huh.
The lyrics touch on the idea of like wanting to turn the music up louder to drown out the noise in your head or around you, the idea of just
Yep.
kind of shutting yourself in to kind of be collecting your thoughts and figuring out what your next move is in life and things like that. And it really is a song that spoke to me. I know it speaks to other people.
Yeah, I'm
And-
just glad to be sitting here listening to you share that kind of intimacy with the lyrics, because I've had this similar conversation with so many people, and for myself that one lyric in particular that you mentioned, "Let me turn the music up louder." That's the very first lyric to the song. Let me turn the music up louder so I don't have to hear myself think.
Mhm.
And that was the first lyric that came to me, and was one of the few songs in my life that truly came to me in a moment of inspiration, and I had to rush to the keyboard to get it all out.
Mhm.
Right.
And I was actually in my car. I was pulling into my garage, and
I remember this story actually.
yeah, right. I think
this story.
we've talked about this.
Yes.
And well, I was just getting ready to pull in the garage, and I like cranked the music up, and I thought to myself, let me turn the music up louder so I don't have to hear myself think, because I felt this panic attack coming on,
Mm.
and I've always struggled with, or since I was 16, I've struggled with severe PTSD, and I just knew I was going to be going to this dark place, and I didn't want to go there, and
Right.
so I thought, wow, that's a really great lyric. I should go write that down. I went to my studio, and I like started, you know,
Talking out.
it did, yeah.
And it's therapeutic, I'm sure.
was.
It kept you level.
Well, and the other thing that's interesting about that song is that was one of the first songs that I started writing with a little bit more intention, like we talked about earlier, with, you know, who was going to be listening to this and how I arranged the song in a way to really relate to other people. And so when I started writing the chorus, you know, I spent a lot of time in the verses in general, talking about that place that I'm in, and that feeling of hopelessness, and you know, feeling like you can't escape what it is that you're experiencing internally.
Yes.
And then taking into the chorus and knowing that I was going to eventually get past this, and eventually I would
And
get
be
out
on the other side.
Yeah,
Yes.
I would come out on the other side stronger and better than I was prior to all of the crap that I was going through.
See, I can hear it in my head.
Oh yeah.
And it's just, it's
Well, I love
profound
that.
because of its simplicity, really. Just because it could be somebody who's struggles with panic attacks or struggles with deep depression, or somebody who's just having a really crappy day.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's one of the beautiful things, because when I first heard the song a few years back, I was just like, I wasn't in the worst place, I wasn't in the best place. I was kind of just like borderline, and I was just dealing with this, that, or the other in my own head. And I'm just like, this song really speaks to me, and I'm sure it could speak to me or anybody else at any point in their life. Just because it's relatable. It is a person who has gone through some stuff.
Yes. It's raw and real.
It's raw and real, and it could be anything. And that's the beautiful thing about
That's
that
the
song.
most satisfying thing I could possibly hear as a songwriter. Seriously,
awesome.
because I wanted that, and especially with that song, and I've been more intentional since the EP and trying to achieve that no matter who you are, what you're going through, can a person relate to this and feel like they're being heard? Because I think that's another thing that a lot of people struggle with, and kind of a part of the bigger picture of my goal in speaking about mental health is just making it normal for people to talk about this stuff.
Yes,
it's
that
not
is
a
huge
shameful
thing.
thing.
Yeah.
No,
It's
there is a stigma
Right.
attached to it,
Yes.
unfortunately, because you know and especially if whatever you're struggling with does require some form of medication, does require some form of therapy. There's this weird stigma attached to it, like that person's damaged, and it's like
they're broken. So
they're not.
Yeah.
They're just struggling with something that they can't fully understand, and even some of the best doctors, psychologists, and the people who are in that field can't completely understand either.
No.
We're still learning so much about the brain.
Yes.
But I will say, and maybe this sounds a little weird, but I'm kind of grateful for my struggles with PTSD because it's caused me to do a lot of research on trauma and the brain and how the brain reacts to trauma and prolonged trauma. And a lot of the things that we label as mental illness or as sort of bad things that happen are truly just ways for our brain to adapt and to get us through those hard times.
And to cope.
Yes, to cope. Yeah. So, for us to beat ourselves up about how we feel about things after the fact, or, the anxiety that we deal with, or the depression that we deal with, or, whatever it is that we're dealing with, it just isn't healthy, and it doesn't make sense to me for us to beat ourselves up.
Or to keep it bottled inside.
Right, exactly, because our body and our brains are doing what they're supposed to do for us to survive.
Yep.
And I'm really excited to see the direction of art therapy and music therapy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because those are becoming a lot more accepted in the therapy or in the psychological community in general, because they're such a great outlet for people to express themselves the way that I've been able to, and along with that, I've been able to meet other artists and other musicians who have found healing in that way. But I would love to see more of a bridging of the gap between, that truth about the arts
Yep.
and what we see in our media and pop culture, because there's a
Exactly.
big disconnect there,
Yep.
And so my larger goal, I don't really like the word advocate because it kind of almost separates me from the issue when it.
Well,
I
it's
feel
a
like,
word that just describes your actions in that you
It does,
you
yeah.
are for people who
Yes.
are struggling with that,
And being willing
yeah,
to talk about it.
yeah, be
That's
willing
That's
to
true.
really
talk
what it
about
is.
it.
You're
So,
willing
Right.
to talk about it, and
More
that's
people
a
should be.
descriptive
that's
word.
where it
Yeah.
changes the stigma
Right.
of, hey, I feel this way, I feel broken, I feel ashamed, I feel like nobody's going to accept me because of this. When it's the complete opposite. It's, we want to accept people, we want to help people, and we
Yes.
want to do all that. And touching on what you said about art, my brother's a high school art teacher, and he
Okay.
gets kids from, I mean, the whole range of the gamut, from just the kid that wants an easy A in their mind to the kid that is passionate and loves art.
Mhm.
But he gets students that didn't realize how much art was an ability to express who they are,
Yes.
and
Ugh.
and being able to transform a student's life or an adult's life from
Right.
being someone that feels like they've got all this hidden inside them to being able to express it and release it. I mean, yeah, there's the stereotypical in movies of the kid that has the parents that are divorced and they draw the pictures, and one of the parents is off on the other end, but they're able to express the
Right.
challenge and the pain and the mental processing of their situation.
Yes. Yeah, and I love the word choice that you use, that it allows them to express themselves and then free themselves from
Yes.
it, and
There's
not that
amazing
means,
freedom in it.
yeah, right, and not that means that we'll never struggle again or anything like that,
Right.
but it does give us a way to process our life and our life circumstances
Yeah.
in a way
And
that no other way really can.
It bridges the gap in between struggles. Because
Yeah.
those struggles get spaced out in everyday life because you may be doing your thing, whether it's your job or you're interacting with family or you're doing what you need to do on a daily basis just as a functional, responsible adult. But sometimes in between those functional
Gotta go
moments
out.
are
Yeah,
very
you get to-
dysfunctional moments.
Yes.
Mhm.
And you don't know how to get from that dysfunctional moment to the functional moment next, because you're just like, okay, what do I do? How do I
There we go.
handle this?
Thanks.
Well done.
I got a little in my eye. We're good.
A little bit of heat.
No, yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
You still
I
have
think
both
about-
eyebrows. You're okay.
Yeah, I know, right? That's the important
And
part.
your lashes are still good, so I
They
think
are.
we're good. We're good. But I love how we jump from like a fairly serious thing to like
To real life.
To real life.
But it's all
exactly.
real life.
But it is all real life.
Yeah, and
I-
there shouldn't be a stigma about it.
No,
yeah.
it shouldn't.
Yeah.
But I think about all the times, and it's something I need to do again. I need to write again, and it's something that Tim keeps telling me, my wife keeps telling me, you
Yep.
said to me.
Yes.
I'm surrounded. There's no getting away.
So do
Whether
it!
it's lyrics, poetry, or fiction, which I have a very twisted imagination, and that's oddly
I
therapeutic
love
sometimes.
that. It is, yeah.
Because you get it out on paper, and it plays out in a fictional realm where it's not real, but it's just kind of fun to play with.
Yeah.
But I think about the times when I was very prolific with lyrics and things like that, and sometimes I surprise myself reading some of this stuff. I'm like, this is actually all right. It's not bad. And even when I was writing them, some of the songs I wrote, like I remember I wrote a song about the idea of just not being able to breathe. I was suffocating because of life and things like that. It's one of Tim's favorite
One of my
songs that I
favorites.
used to
That
do.
and Chemical
Oh my
Romance are both
gosh.
amazing.
Yeah. It was all from a very spiritual perspective, but also from just a real life struggle, viewpoint, where I'm just like, I remember waking up one night and I couldn't breathe because I was having a dream about something that was just really upsetting me. And it just translated to so much of what I was dealing with at the time. I was in the midst of a bunch of things going on in my life, my parents divorcing and other things. And so I was just like, I felt it like coming down on me. And I remember writing that out. I'm like,
It's so powerful.
it's incredibly powerful. And again, it bridges the gap in between struggles. If you're, if you do it continually or try to do it as often as possible, because there's no magic formula, there's no set thing that you can do in terms of, being creative that will necessarily always do the same thing as it did the last time, keep the demons at bay for however long. But if you continue, it continues to help.
Yeah, absolutely.
It continues to make you feel like you're not carrying the world on your shoulders and that you have a voice.
Yeah.
And
Well, and I kind of want to touch on that a little bit. You mentioned you haven't written in a while, and like I've gone through periods of not writing. In fact, I've kind of taken a break from social media. Well, I'm getting more back into it.
I've been in a perpetually dry period.
Yeah, well, and I think that's important to talk about too, because a lot of creative people well, yeah, a lot of creative people have been through that. I think that's a natural part of the creative process. But I think it also, I guess I just want to say, if things aren't coming to you naturally, that doesn't mean that you don't have the ability to create.
No.
That
Yeah.
doesn't mean, that you don't have this ability to express yourself in that way. It just
Yep.
means maybe you're not at a place to express the things you want to
And
express.
don't force it.
Yeah,
Right?
that's the thing,
Yeah.
because when I try to do it, sometimes it feels forced. It
Mhm.
feels like I'm trying to, I could use a bunch of euphemisms for that, or
Mhm.
analogies, but basically I'm trying to, pull a tooth that doesn't quite want to come out, or whatever you want to say. So
I think what's important is that you keep coming back to it, though.
Mhm.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because eventually you will get a break where it comes to you. Or, for me personally, if I'm having a rough season where I'm not creating anything, that
Mhm.
means I need to go back to my therapist and talk out some things. And then I get past a roadblock, and I'm like, oh, okay, I really needed to deal with this thing, and then I can go and write about it.
Yeah.
And maybe that's not the course for everybody, but that's just an example of humanity and creativity. I think that we don't talk enough about
No.
it, and that it's an integral part of who we are as human beings, and we
Mhm.
have a need to create what you guys have created. This is such an awesome platform for you guys
you.
to be
Thank you.
yourselves
Thank
Yeah.
you very
and to
much.
express yourselves and to be passionate about something together.
Well,
And we've said
and
that the whole time.
It's a
Yeah,
perfect,
right.
and
I
it's a
love that.
perfect
It's just us.
segue into saying, and there's also this kind of therapy too. There's this.
In
There's-
moderation, yeah.
In moderation, yes, but it's something that because again, something else that has a weird stigma attached to it. And I'm not going to go into dramatics about it. It's more annoying than anything,
Mhm.
because it's just like, cigars, we smoke cigars, really. It's just like, I don't encounter that too much, but we have encountered it before.
Sure.
Mhm.
Where they're like, really? You smoke cigars? Like, yeah.
Yes, I do, and I
I-
enjoy them.
And that's the thing. There's a joy that comes from it. And I remember describing that to someone. I said, these things honestly bring me joy. And they looked at me like I was insane.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, you don't understand, because it gives me an opportunity to not only enjoy a luxury that isn't for everyone,
No.
but it helps me to kind of pause, reflect, whether I'm
Yeah.
listening to music while I'm doing it, or I'm just enjoying the quiet, or I'm hanging out with Tim, or I'm hanging out with you or another friend, where we can talk about things. Tim and I have had numerous deep conversations over the years about a number of things. A lot of them recently have occurred over a good cigar. And it brings people together. It helps you relax in a way that other things might not be able to help you relax. It is therapeutic in a way, but it's one of many things you can, enjoy that helps you kind of take a step back.
Yes. Well, and when you're doing it in solitude, it can be almost a meditative kind of
That's what I
approach.
was thinking
Yes.
when you said it's
Yes.
time to just breathe and
Yes.
take a minute
Quote
to
Ron
yourself.
Perlman,
Yeah.
some people meditate, I smoke cigars. And that's a direct quote. That's not a joke. He actually
Yeah.
said that.
Wow.
So, but it is meditative.
I like that though.
It's
Mhm.
strangely meditative.
Yeah.
I have come to, obviously, it's a passion of mine and Tim's now, just because of what it represents. And it represents people. Wonderful people who not only make the cigars, but who get together and smoke them and have moments like this. And it's just a wonderful thing. But thank you for saying what you said
Yeah.
about what we're doing.
Absolutely.
Sharing your heart and your passion, really. I
Yes.
mean,
The feeling's so mutual.
well, and you
Really, it
when you
is.
get to meet someone and you get to talk about their passion and the reason behind their passion, because there's always a motivation for the passion, whether they know it or not. There's always going to be a motivation for it. But when you get to see that passion that has the motivation behind it become applied to their life, then it's come full circle, because you get to
Yes.
enjoy the whole process of seeing what they've taken that could be challenging, whether it's personal, whether it's career path, whether it's familial, whatever it is, and it gets them all the way through the process of going, I'm going to get to the other side. I'm going to be
Yes.
okay. And
Look at you tying that in. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
I see what
but
you
it,
did
but it,
there.
haha. There's a brain up here. It works sometimes. But you get to see it come full circle, and then you get to see the cycle repeat itself, because they know that it's what works for them.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, that's us with cigars. We enjoy them. We love them. We're passionate about them. That's why we're putting on our Pacific Cigar Show in Phoenix, Arizona, in March of 2020. But subtle plug.
Shameless plug.
Yes.
Yes. But our passion, the motivation was just us hanging out on his patio or on my patio, enjoying a cigar,
Love that.
which turned into, we really enjoy this, turned into his brainchild of, my dad was my motivation for Kyle's perspective. Mine was my father-in-law who enjoys cigars. And it was just one of those things of, you know, you could see the progression going until now it's come full circle where we have people that we get to engage with that we never would have before using this platform, whether it's you, whether it's other people that we've met. And it just gets to continue the cycle of that. We have people that look up to us, much in the way I'm sure people look up to you for your lyrics and your music, that now look up to us as being...
probably like a father figure in some ways.
You know, and one person, as a joke, says that, you know, Kyle and Tim are my cigar dads because of Dads Smoking Cigars.
I love that, yeah.
But we get to be, and I don't want to say relied upon, but we get to be used as an instrument to help them get through their process.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I could have said it better. And truthfully, that's the only reason why I agreed to do something like this. Not that I'm just a lot more particular about what opportunities I take on anymore.
Absolutely.
And yeah, whenever we talked about everything that you just said, you know, how you guys started so organically from this place of passion, I was like, yes, let me work with you guys, you know, because you made me think of this earlier, just this idea that our culture is like so into these kind of all or nothing extremes.
Yes.
You know?
And not to cut you off, I heard a YouTube, because there's this YouTuber I listen to who he's talking about people who do crowdfunding. And they do the crowdfunding because they want to buy all of the expensive crap so they can have all the expensive crap.
And I've been there.
And
I'm not going to lie,
And so they can have all that they need to do this amazing, spectacular YouTube career. But he just said, listen, you don't need that. If you have a phone, use your phone to start your YouTube career. So that way you can build up and learn how to do what you're doing and become good at it before you start buying the expensive cameras, the microphones, and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, but it kind of ties in perfectly to what you're saying. Just get started.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I've had some experience with that, some good and bad experience with that in particular. And it's really difficult working in the music industry, especially because so much of what we do is based on our branding and our image, you know, and especially as a female in the industry. I was shocked to find whenever I went to school for production, only 6% of females, or only 6% of producers in the industry are female.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm sure that's for a few reasons, but predominantly because I could go on a spiel about that, and I'll spare you of that. All of that to say, you know,
it's okay. You can express yourself. So
there's all these ideas about what a creative project needs to look like, you know.
There's a formula.
What's that?
There's a formula for it.
Yeah, like there's a formula for it, or you know, people think they have to have all the bells and whistles and all of that jazz. And you know, the longer that I've been in this career, the more that I found that the things that I'm most passionate about are the things that really resonate with other people, you know? And so I've kind of learned to stop taking every opportunity that comes my way just because everybody says I should do it.
Yes.
You know,
another notch in your belt. Yeah, like
right. And I think a lot of people feel that that pressure when it comes to finding something that they're passionate about. Oh, well, I'm not going to do that because I'm not amazing at that. Well, yeah, nobody's amazing at what they do.
Nobody starts out amazing.
Right, yeah. You don't start out with everything. The best you can do is find something you're passionate about and just do it because you love it, you know, and then meet other people that have that shared passion and continue creating. And what a day and age to be creating, because it's so stupid easy, you know, to
and
like
that's what
share
I love
content with people.
About how you present yourself and how you brand yourself. It's your personal branding. It's your own personal... I mean, it's you. It's all you. And that was one of the reasons why I was drawn to your music, drawn to have conversations with you, is because I'm like, she's not BSing people. She's not trying to be a, quote, influencer. She's not trying to be... I mean, you ended up gaining influence over time with what you were doing because you were being yourself. It was similar to what we've been doing.
Exactly.
Because we didn't want to present ourselves in a way that was disingenuous.
No.
If that's even the right word
Well,
to
you
say.
can enjoy it more that way.
Well, that's
and
just
you
it.
can keep it then it doesn't become a job. And which is kind of why I had to take a break from performing, honestly, because it became a job for me. It became
Mhm.
very, very taxing for me. And so, I'm excited to get back into performing now that I'm in LA. But I'm also very hesitant and cautious about how I approach that and how much time I devote to that.
Right.
Because there's now so many other facets of my career, and I want to make sure that I'm still enjoying every part of it, that I can still put that same passion that I had in that song Other Side into every minuscule thing that I do, which is freaking hard.
Oh, yeah. I think that's one
the
of the
more you
reasons
grow,
why I
it's
haven't
hard.
written in so long is because
Mhm.
some of that had waned, and circumstances notwithstanding in some areas of my life, it made it difficult for me to want to sit down and create because I'm just thinking, my brain can't handle this.
I can relate to that.
My mind cannot handle the
Right?
thought. It would just shut down when I tried. And so I'm like, okay, obviously now is not the time. But eventually it's something I'm going to have to get past. And kind of like you, just like, okay, I'm going to have to, in one sense, bite the bullet, but in the other sense, get back to doing what I love.
Yeah.
So,
But you'll do it in your own timing, and you'll feel it out, and you'll know what feels right. Like I said earlier, what's important is that you keep coming back to it, and you know that there's still something there worth pursuing for you. Because that's such an integral part of who you are.
Yes.
Yeah.
So.
Good stuff.
Very good stuff.
Yeah.
This has been a fantastic conversation.
Right.
Yes.
And we are so glad that you were able to come, that you agreed to come, and that
thank you.
We've had this amazing experience with you, and we hope to have more like it.
Agreed. The feeling's so mutual.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure people can find you on your different media outlets. I know we talked about your music and everything like that. Where can they find you through social media?
So I'm probably most active on Instagram and Twitter right now, but all of my social media handles, I'm also on Facebook. Those are the primary ones right now.
Which we will link in the description when you watch it.
Yes, it'll all be in the
You'll
description
be able
down
to
below.
find, we will help you find her. So
Yeah.
that is not a problem at all. It's our
Thanks.
pleasure. So we will link everything in the description below for you guys to find.
Yep, it's Eva Eris Official. Oh, I am on YouTube too as well.
Yes,
I do
she
have
is
some
on
music
YouTube.
videos.
And we will have a clip of her music, either at the beginning or end of this video. So be on the lookout for that. So you'll get to hear some of the song Other Side in this video, which is still my favorite song from you. But all her songs are very wonderful, and they're very relatable. So it sounds amazing, very relatable. Please check out Eva Eris on all of her platforms. You can find her pretty much everywhere there is music to stream or download.
Yes.
So please, you'd be doing yourself a huge, huge favor.
Exactly. So I think we're going to wrap it up here. Thank you for enjoying and watching and checking out the very first Cigar Sit-Down. As always, we are Dads Smoking Cigars with Eva Eris here in the HQ. And as I always end it, because it's my shtick now, as always, we'll see you.
Let me turn the music up louder, so I don't have to hear myself think, so I don't have to relive everything I thought I had forgotten, all the things I tried to lock away. And I've just been locked in my mind all this time, but I'm letting go, 'cause I know that I'll come out on the other side a little bit stronger, a little bit wiser. I'll come out on the other side, walking with my head high, confidence in my stride. I'll be better than ever before, and I'll remember what living is for. When I come out on the other side, the other side, I remember what it means to be alive. Let me pull the shades a little tighter, so I don't have to let the light in. close curtains for today, and I've just been locked in my mind all this time, but I'm letting go, 'cause you know that I'll come out on the other side a little bit stronger, a little bit wiser. I'll come out on the other side, walking with my head high, confidence in my stride. I'll be better than ever before, and I'll remember what living is for when I come out on the other side, the other side. I remember what it means to be alive. Ooh, I remember what it means to be alive. When I come out on the other side, a little bit stronger, a little bit wiser. I'll come out on the other side, the other side. When I come out on the other side, a little bit stronger, a little bit wiser. I'll come out on the other side, walking with my head high, confidence in my stride. I'll be better than ever before, and I'll remember what living's for when I come out on the other side, the other side. I remember what it means to be alive. No, I remember what it means to be alive. I remember what it means to be alive.
Hey everybody, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And if you want to check out our social media, all of the information is on the right of the screen, and it's also linked in the description below.
Exactly. And if you want to learn more about us, check out dadsmokingcigars.com, check out our shop, pick up some of our merchandise, and just stay connected with us. So until next time, we'll see ya.
Stay smoky, guys.